How's it going, people, and welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to another piece of breaking news. Granit Xhaka is set to leave Arsenal Football Club. It's been reported by a couple journalists. We're going to get into it all. I'm back with Cecil. What are you saying, Cec?
I'm good. I mean, this is an interesting one. It's an interesting one to get into, especially the people watching and listening. I don't know how people are. I don't know where people's mindset is and thoughts of Granit Xhaka are at the moment. A lot of them might have changed after this season and last season. But I know yours has changed over the career that he's had, the 7 years at Arsenal. So it'd be interesting to hear what people have made of his time, and is it the right time to see him go, or are they shocked about this news that he's looking to be moved on or bought to another and sold to another club? So this is going to be an interesting debate. There's a lot of things we can talk about regarding Granit Xhaka, a man who's always had the headlines a lot of the time when it comes to Arsenal fans and the past couple of seasons.
Yeah, you know what? The divides opinion is probably the best way to describe Xhaka's time at Arsenal. And like you said, my feelings on him have differed this season in comparison to previous season. I wouldn't say changed, because changed would mean that I ignore the previous seasons at Arsenal Football Club, whereas differed. No,
they can change though. Your opinion can change though from what you thought he might have been or continuously been to what he is now. Or?
Yeah, but my opinions of those 6 seasons prior to this one, those opinions haven't changed.
Oh, so it's just
my opinion of him this season differs to my opinion of him over those 5-6 seasons, whatever it is. I think it is 6 seasons, because it's reported that 7 years at the club. Yeah. And we will get into it. People asking, where has this news dropped? It first dropped from Chris Wheatley earlier today. And why earlier today? I say maybe 90 minutes or so ago.
Literally an hour ago.
And this is his tweet. Quote, "It's true, Granit Xhaka expected to leave Arsenal this summer after 7 years at the club. Swiss captain seeking a new challenge already informed Mikel Arteta of his decision, but fully focused on the final games." And that was swiftly followed up by 10-15 minutes ago, Fabrizio Romano tweeted saying, "Granit Xhaka set to leave Arsenal at the end of the season. No negotiations over a new deal and plan to part ways in June. Bayer Leverkusen are in advanced talks to sign him. A 15 million euro fee. Understood. Personal terms are almost agreed over a 4-year deal. June 2027. So
there's a lot to delve into. There really is. I'm also going to follow up with that with a quote from Granit Xhaka from last year in April on the Players Tribune, where he mentions about he's not wanting to leave this club until he's achieved something great. Until then, he stays, and he also wants to build the relationship back with the fans and the people outside the club. So that was a quote that we got from the Players Tribune from last year. So there's a lot of conversation to be had whether that was achieved or if it was not, in his opinion. Obviously, the 15 million euro fee that Bayer Leverkusen are looking at. Well, Roma wanted him, Mourinho wanted him, and I think they didn't want to stretch to 15 million. I think it was around 11 million they wanted him for, 12 million. So this fee hasn't really risen, even though he's had, in my opinion, the best season in an Arsenal shirt was this season. And I'm not going to take away from last season either, because I think he had a really good season last season. I think it goes under the radar. I think not a lot of people want to give him the respect for last season. If you look at the players that figured last year, in the last season, he was one of the players, one of the experienced players that I think had a good season. This season, it was probably his better of his 7 years. But a lot to delve into. The fee, other club. There's only one club that's kind of wanting him returning back to the Bundesliga. Obviously, he was at Mönchengladbach before signing to Arsenal, and he's returning back to, looking like he'll be returning back to Bundesliga if it all goes through. But 50 million euros seems quite low.
It does seem low. You know, before we get into that, let's start a poll up in the chat. Let's ask the chat what they think of this news. Are you happy Xhaka's going? Is it a yes? Is it a no? And let's add don't care into the voting, because that's kind of where I land on it. I don't care too much. I mean, when we talk about this season, if you've watched me throughout the season, I've put my hands up and said, finally we're getting something from Granit Xhaka. I've given Arteta a lot of credit for the positional change, and he's become a lot more efficient his newfound position over the last 12, 18 months than he was in his previous position. In his previous position, all the stats around him tended to point towards, the more negative than the positive. That's for sure, especially with most errors leading to goals and so on.
A lot of it is two.
This season now, in the 8, he's added something. And that's a lot more than I can say for the previous 6 seasons. And by added something, I don't even want to put down what he's done this season, because he has been key to us challenging for the league, to us being top of the league for this long. And even if you compare his numbers to other 8s in the league, it's actually, bodes quite well. I think off the top of my head, 5 goals, 7, 8 assists. Decent output for a player that I didn't see a future at Arsenal Football Club.
Got that spot on. Well done. 5 goals, 7 assists, and that is, to be fair, it's good output.
It's decent.
It's decent. It's good, but he is playing higher up the field, so some would demand more. But I suppose when the goal's being shared around in this Arsenal side and assists, it's good, especially for the Granit Xhaka that many may think back to in the past. It is definitely an improvement. Like you said, less errors leading to goals. If you go through the stats, the past 2 seasons has been 0. The cards, I know he got a red card last season, but before that you'd see 2 red cards, a red card regularly every season. So he's definitely improved, and this live is definitely going to be speaking about the whole concept of him potentially moving on, but also give him some of the credit and respect he deserves for especially this season of what he's produced. But yeah, man, you saying don't care though, or don't mind, I think they put in the poll. So not at all, even. Why? Like, because think about it, if we don't sign anyone and we're stuck with Granit Xhaka, if we don't sign a midfielder, you'll be vexed, I think, if it comes into the next season. So you will care. But if we sell him, so if we sell him and then we don't upgrade, you'll probably be annoyed as well. So there must be you must have some sort of feeling towards him, want him to stay or go.
Either way, if we keep him and don't upgrade in that position, I'm not going to be happy. If we don't keep him and don't upgrade in that position, I'm not going to be happy. The fact of the matter is, as much as he has shown a lot more in this position than he did previously in the 6 or the double pivot, we can still do better. We've got bigger fish to fry next season.
Oh, please, Turkish, bro, please. Please, love, of all people, I never thought I'd hear that from you, bro.
We're in Champions League, bro.
Yeah, but come on, my bro. Different expert, brother. Is fed up of hearing that bullshit. That's as bad as me wearing a t-shirt on this live. Bro.
Nah, it's definitely. I'll put another poll in this chat soon and ask what's worse. Yeah, don't do it. Okay. We might get the first 100% voting in this whole AFTV live era.
I don't want to hear bigger fish to fry. I don't want to hear in our hands. I don't want to hear none of that. Let's just stick to Xhaka. Yeah, I feel sad to see him go, or if you do not care. But fucking hell, me. As I was quickly just giving my thoughts quickly. I think listen, like he's mentioned, he wants to stay here until we achieve something great. I don't know what that would have been if that is getting his Champions League football. It's been a long time since Arsenal Football Club have been in there, 6 years. I think that is definitely something that you've achieved and been a big part of. So fair play to him. He has had a good season, leadership wise. I think he does have a lot of influence on the dressing room and a good relationship with Mikel Arteta. But from what we're hearing in the media that's come out today is he's spoken to Mikel Arteta and said that he's spoken that he doesn't want to, because he wants to leave. If there's a chance for him to leave, then it's time for him to move on. I think he'll be happy with it. And his contract is up in June 2024, so that is next summer, with an option to extend. But it's looking like that's probably not going to happen, especially when we're hearing links of Caicedo, Declan Rice. And when you look at Granit Xhaka, you look at the position he's playing, you look at all the players that we have. You have the 2s that might be coming in. You've got Jorginho, I know he's got a short contract, but he's still in there. I mean, Trossard can play that position. Martin Odegaard can play that position. You can put some of the defenders can't really play in that position. But you've got players returning. Charlie Bettino, players on loan. I know he's saying he probably won't be returning, but there's players on loan as well that could be playing his position. A lot of competition. I think it is time, and for him, best for him to move on. Champions League next season. We want to go to that next level. I'm not saying he's the reason to stop us. We're not going to that next level, but we do need to upgrade on a lot of positions. Granit Xhaka's one is definitely one I'll be looking at.
Yeah, it makes more work to do in the summer, in my opinion, because when asked on DR Sports earlier this season in the keep, sell or bench video, I said bench. That video was about next season, and for me, well, initially, if you look at the comment section, even now, people go back to that video after this live ends. DR Sports, keep, bench or sell Arsenal. I said bench, and 90% of the comments, and there was a hell of a lot of comments, 90% of the comments were like, how can Turkish say bench? He's got an agenda. He's got a problem with him. He hasn't seen Xhaka turn it around. No, I've seen all of these things. I've seen Xhaka perform a lot better this season than he has in the previous 6. My thing about bench is that's me even showing that I've seen a change in him, because if you asked me keep bench or sell 6 years prior to this season, it would have been sell every single time. The fact that I answered with a bench is because, you know, he's shown something. Number one, he has got leadership traits, and it's been much talked about over the years, and as part of the squad, I wouldn't have minded to see him next season.
Are you worried, and people listening, are you worried about the lack of experience if we let players like this go in this Arsenal side? And this can,
not all experience is good experience, bro.
But you see, I had one answer I think that would have counted it, and that was
all experience. Bro, Rob Holding coming to centre back after Saliba.
Only one. You know when Dr. John Marvel, in Infinity, I think it's Infinity War Endgame, he goes through all the possibilities of that things can go right, and there's only one. And I was thinking, I'm not Turkish this question. There's only one way out. Is the experience? Not all experience is a good experience, and he freaking said it. And Rob Holding was the person I was going to go to, but really, but serious, bro, like. That is definitely an argument. But if we bring in young Caicedo, Declan Rice, obviously Xhaka he's 30 years old, he's experienced this, he knows Arsenal. So there's no concern of, we're going to replace him with just more younger players, and there might be a narrative next season. This is still a young side and all that. Does that not come to your mind, and you think we should be keeping some of these experiences?
With or without Xhaka, we need experience. Like I said, it just makes more work to do. With this news, I look at the situation around İlkay Gündoğan at Manchester City, and he's a free agent this summer. I know he's been closely linked to Barcelona, but I think Barcelona's priority is, you know, clearing the deck to make room for Messi. That's what I'm reading.
Wow.
Not too sure how true it is, but in terms of clubs, not only in La Liga but Serie A, clearing the books has tended to be a running theme over the last few years. They haven't got the finances that the Premier League clubs have got.
Yeah.
So if there's a chance, if like Chris Wheatley and Fabrizio Romano are saying that Mikel Arteta has been informed of Xhaka's decision, then I'd expect Arteta to be on the phone to Gundogan's agent, maybe asking what's the availability, like how close is he to Barcelona? Is that true? Because in all honesty, that would be an upgrade without even spending a dime. And yes, 15 million euros does sound cheap, but at the end of the day, if you look at his Arsenal career overall, some might say 2 good seasons out of 7.
I would say that.
I'd say 1 good season out of 7, or 18 months out of those 7 years.
Fair. I'd say 2 million. Fair.
So 15 million is 15 million. Should we get more? I think potentially, you know, he's not over the hill in terms of age. He's 30, turns 31 later this year. Yeah, you might argue that we should be able to get 20 mil for him.
Yeah. In that Bayer Leverkusen side, he's going to be a standout in the Bundesliga, in my opinion. If he goes there, he's not going to be. He's playing in the Premier League and he's had a good season. This is a hard competitive league. I think he goes over to Bundesliga and does very well. So I think you could push to 20 million, especially when, listen, he could barely get 12 or 13 million from last season, and I think he had a good season last season. You said it's been 18 months, but I feel like 15 million euros, which works out about 12 million pounds or 13 million pounds. I think it's low personally. I think if we got, and I believe and trust in the board and their dues and the people that do negotiations, I think they should be asking for a bit more. But I don't want it to be a situation where you're pricing him out and we end up having to, and that's no harsh words of Jack. I don't want to end up pricing him out and then us being stuck with him, and it kind of messing up our transfer business when it comes to bringing in other players.
It depends what we do off the back of it.
Yeah.
Because if we were to, let's just say, you know, we were to go and get a Gundogan, the way I'd look at it is, well, you know, for Xhaka we got Gundogan and 15 mil. And when you put it like that, it sounds a lot better.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it depends on what we do off the back of it. We was interested in Caicedo in January, interested in Rice, and those links are only getting stronger now. We, you know, heads close to the summer transfer window. So we were linked to these players prior to this news about Xhaka, or prior to Xhaka informing the club and Mikel Arteta about his decision. My thing is probably the decision comes off the back of Mikel Arteta talking to him and saying, listen, next season you won't be getting as many starts, as many minutes as you've done this season, because it's a position we're looking to upgrade in. You don't get linked to Caicedo and Rice, and this is coming from someone who sees them both as a 6, but surely we wouldn't be linked to both players at those figures to have one on the bench and have one starting. I'm sure Mikel Arteta's idea is Rice in the 8 and Caicedo the successor to Partey in the 6. So if that is Xhaka's decision of the fact that moving forward we are looking to upgrade and we are looking to not necessarily limit his minutes but distribute his minutes a bit more widely than we have done this season, and he's made that decision off the back of it, then it is what it is.
So what's your take on that, Turkish, of him thinking like that? Because if we're being completely honest, next season a lot of these conversations are going to have to have with all the players, Turkish, because it's Champions League football, it's FA. There's a lot of cup games, they have to rotate, they're going to have to.
Yeah.
So is your take of Granit Xhaka thinking that good and a mature decision because he wants more minutes? Because I think everyone's going to be wanting the most minutes possible coming next season. Or do you think, oh, actually, hold on, bro, like you should understand this is the right decision because we need to upgrade in this position.
I think they have to. I think players also have to look at who we're competing with, and I don't necessarily mean this in terms of Champions League because that's something we haven't been in a long time, and it's going to be fresh to us and this team. What I mean is, look at Manchester City. Look how many players they have on the bench throughout the season that probably would like more minutes.
I agree.
Foden at times hasn't been played as much as his potential probably shows.
Mahrez, yeah.
Mahrez has done a lot for that club. He's done a lot in the Premier League. He's probably one of the most underrated players in the Premier League, history-wise, in my opinion. When you look at what he's done for Leicester and for Man City, he doesn't get many minutes. Grealish at times in his first 18 months or so, his minutes were skewed.
Yeah.
That's what we're dealing with. So do you want to be part of the squad, a squad that bench players are, when you look at Manchester City, bench players or rotational options still get a lot of minutes throughout the season because they compete in every competition and they tend to go far in every competition. That's where we need to get to. So we need players that want to fight, want to prove themselves. Yes, Xhaka is 30, but at the same time, Xhaka is now at a football club that's in a much better position than we've ever been since he's been here.
Yeah.
Even that first year that he signed for us, we was in Champions League already, having qualified the year before, but there was still a lot of question marks over whether this club was headed in the right direction or not. And then
100%.
we got dumped out by Bayern Munich the way we get dumped that season. We haven't seen Champions League since. Players have to understand, listen, you've got to be happy with what we're giving you, or we're going to bring in someone that will be happy with it, and we'll look at the opportunities given as a chance to get more opportunity.
That's you put that so well, I'll be honest, because I was just thinking, I don't remember Xhaka really being a rotation player. Mikel Arteta fought for him, said, I want you to stay, especially after the whole Crystal Palace scenario where he threw the captain's armband on the floor and swore at the fans. Mikel Arteta made him, when he came in, he said he wanted him to stay, and he said he'll change that story, and I believe he did. He done a very good job of it. But I think, if Xhaka would have thought, okay, I'm the main figure. He played a lot of games this season, but like you said there, we're competing with Man City, and they rotate regularly. It's mad. I don't even like to say bench players when I talk about Man City because it doesn't feel like they're bench players.
That's why I changed to rotational options, because bench players
it sounds mad, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because you don't see, like, man just won a World Cup. Alvarez has come back with a World Cup winning side and he's on the bench regularly. Like, it's weird to call them bench players. They are rotational players, and that's what makes them so strong. And I feel like we've been doing many lives today about players and making decisions. We spoke about Balogun earlier, which you guys can check out on the channel, and they've got to kind of be in the headspace where you got to be part of a squad and really buy into it. And I know Mikel Arteta's he's probably saying the same thing. I don't know Mikel Arteta personally, but the way he moves is, if you're a big character or think too much yourself, or you're chauvinistic and you're not here for the team, then he'll move you on. If you're not on his mind track, then he'll move you on. And I feel like that's what needs to happen next season. I feel like if the players aren't with it, then he just moves them on. I feel that was a very respected conversation that him and Granit probably had. He probably told him that this is what we're going to need to do and what I'm bringing in. And Granit's probably, I think he's made a decision. I think that's probably how the conversation went. And fair play to both parties. If he does move on, go to Bayer Leverkusen and he's happy, I think it's good for both parties. As long as we keep saying it depends what we do off the back of it. We have to bring in, for me, two midfielders.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Mikel Arteta holding on to him, and I guess when Mikel came in, the rebuild he had to do in the first couple of years that he was at the club, he was always going to have to
with the cards he was dealt.
And keep hold of a few. And when I look at it now, those few were Xhaka, Holding, and Eddie. And out of the, is that the only three? Yeah, I'd say that's pretty much the only three where some Arsenal fans, many Arsenal fans, depending on what circle you're in, it depends on the feelings around, would have probably wanted to move on. I wanted to move on from Eddie a couple of years back. I wanted to move on from Holding a couple of years back. I wanted to move from Xhaka years back. Xhaka's probably the only one of the three that's managed to turn it around in a sense where he's done something. He's helped us. Has he earned his right to stay if he wanted to stay? Not in the starting lineup, he hasn't. There's still, listen, as much as he's been good this season and improved and shown something that he hasn't, I still look at that position as a position to upgrade in. Okay. Because he's not a natural 8. He's not. And throughout the season, listen, he's done very good things throughout the season. I mentioned his output, his goals and assists, and in comparison to other 8s, it's a decent enough record. But there's also many times this season we've seen Xhaka maybe on the ball just outside the opposition box in the final third. We might want him to release a bit quicker. We might want him to take the shot, and he's been a bit slow in those actions because, as well as he's done in this position, he's not used to that position as much as he was used to his previous position, where, funnily enough, he was worse in my opinion. Is there no argument to say, now I know this is me reaching a bit, to have him stay the extra year and be a rotation player or squad player for his leadership qualities or not? So when David Luiz got moved on from Arsenal, there was a discussion. I was kind of on this. So I wanted him to be staying in the change room, just to be a leader for the young centre backs coming through. In the end, obviously, that didn't happen. But did you not care about any of that, or do you feel, do you know what? For the team, it wouldn't have been too bad if he's still amongst those players. Again, it comes back down to not all experience is good experience, and this ain't a jab at Xhaka. This is just me putting myself in in a young player's position at the club, and you know, does Xhaka have the clout necessary for the leadership to really play a big part in the development of the youngsters, or really play a part when shit is hitting the fan, like at the back end of this season? I think at the back end of this season showed that as much as we've got Xhaka and Partey in terms of age and experience, and you can add Rob Holding to that, as much as we brought in Jesus and Zinchenko and the experience they've brought along with them from Manchester City, we're still lacking in top level experience. Okay. The only reason I asked, because obviously he's doing his coaching badges. I know how he's very vocal. We saw him last season after the Newcastle game. He came out and said, if you're not ready for this, stay at home. When he said, I think he spoke about the young players there. So he's clearly abrasive when he speaks, and he's very, high demanding. So I just wanted to know if there was any sign of you saying, I could have maybe benefited us if he stayed in this capacity. But I think if there's a club there willing to pay, I still think 15 million euros is a bit low for me. But if they're not going to rise, and it's down to the board, it's down to Edu, happy birthday for yesterday, but my G, you've got to try to get more than that, my friend, for Xhaka, because money is money and we want to improve. So for me, if we can get more, then move on. Because the main thing for me is, and Bobby always hates me saying this, I want the players to be happy and playing. And if Xhaka's happy to go back into the Bundesliga and he's playing, as long as we get good fee for him, I think that is good business by both parties. But more than 15 million euros, that works out about 12 million pounds. And like you said, I think 2 seasons, and even if it is 2 seasons of not winning anything, I think he deserves more than that. From the qualities he possesses, especially going into that league, I think he'll offer a bit. Well, he's got a year on his contract as well. We failed to mention that. Yeah, so. June 2024 is when it's up. So it's not disrespect. Is it disrespect at that price? It's just too low. It's just too low. It sounds too low, but at the same time, European clubs haven't got the money that the Premier League clubs have. I don't think Premier League clubs have shown an interest. Maybe if they had maybe we'd get a bigger fee. It seems like he wants to, or his family want to go back to Germany. Yep. That could play a part too. As mentioned before, if his minutes are at risk next season, that could play a part too. So really, it feels like the ball's in his court. It's never going to reach 25 million. Let's be real. It's not going to reach that. But I'm just saying, I'm 15 million pounds, 18 million euros maybe. 20 million euros would be unreal. Look at me. We're doing massive. Go on. For less says Jorginho was 12 mil. That's also, there's players out there you can say, but he went for this much. How can we only be getting 15 million euros? But there's also players out there which would justify why we're potentially accepting such a low figure, if that's what you believe. Yeah, fair. That's a good point. And Jorginho is a Euro
Euro winner,
Champions League winner,
yep,
with
Premier
Chelsea.
League, yep.
A lot more experience at the highest level.
Yeah, third in the Ballon d'Or.
That's the clout.
Third in the Ballon d'Or
That's
as well.
That's necessary in terms of experience, in my opinion. Who are you going to listen to more? A guy that's been at the top, been at a Euro final, a guy that's been in the Champions League and won it. Who? And this is coming from someone who I don't rate Jorginho like that.
Yeah, I know you don't.
I'm happily surprised that he's kind of come in and done a good job, because I thought his best years were behind him, and even in his best years I thought, really, this guy's overrated.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, when you're talking to young players, when you're trying to guide the team through the toughest stages, you probably lean more towards that. And yes, people might say, hold on, when you talked about Xhaka, you mentioned the end of this season, Jorginho was there too. Yes, but Jorginho has just come in as well.
Yeah, because my rebuttal was going to be, yeah, but Xhaka, I'm talking recency bias. Look what Xhaka's done this season. I realised Jorginho still is towards the end of the season. He was still a part of it, so it's hard to even say that. Jorginho has been there. But Flip Mode says Jorginho wasn't playing for Chelsea, but he was in those key times when they were winning Champions League and all that. He heavily figured. So, you make a good point. You make a very good point. I think you do look at Jorginho more. 12 million. If he went for that, yeah. But again, it's a contract. It's a contract thing as well, which you mentioned. It's up in 2024 with Xhaka. Maybe I've got my Arsenal hat on and just being a bit biased, but I think that is still a low. I think it's a low fee, 15 million euros. I think we can get a little bit more. Look, I'm not asking for crazy amounts more, but yeah. And Jordan, I'm sure, will be happy with the man he shall not name. is looking to potentially be moving on. It'd be very interesting to hear Jordan's thoughts like this. But make sure you check out Forever Arsenal podcast. I'm sure that'll be a discussion that will be brought up.
100%.
And big up everyone getting involved. I see loads of chat and comments and some really nice things coming in.
We're recording Forever tomorrow morning, so that'll be out tomorrow, people. And yes, we will bring it up and get Jordan's thoughts. Not that you need it. I'm sure you know what Jordan's thoughts on it will be. But obviously, make sure you're there, people. Make sure you subscribe, notification bell on, and you'll know when it comes out. So the poll is in the chat. We're not going to end it yet. We're going to keep it running. I just want to highlight that it is in the chat. We've got over 2,000 votes already. The question is, Xhaka leaving, are you happy? Are you sad? Or don't you care? So
what did you vote? Because I can't vote. What did you vote?
Don't mind.
Oh, I wanted to vote. I'm on the back end.
Don't mind. Log into your YouTube channel and vote. Log into your YouTube channel and vote. We've got a fair few super chats in, so let's get into that now before we do not necessarily move on. But there's also some David Ornstein quotes from yesterday on Sky Sports that I want to delve into that kind of play off the back of this. Ibby with the first super chat says, we were never going to give a 4-year contract like Leverkusen. Great season from him. A little surprised, not going to lie, but good move for club and for player. Yeah, I mean, with the contract length, you're right.
Yeah,
it would have been silly
to
offer that. Do I think it plays a major part? Probably not, because I think even if he played out his final year at Arsenal, he could still get a 3-year contract somewhere, 3-year contract potentially at Bayer Leverkusen.
I'm surprised that Mikel Arteta had a conversation and said that, we don't know if it's for fact, but he's saying he's happy for him to move on because El Neni, they gave a bumper contract because of his injury, and it was kind of a goodwill contract, addition to 1-year extension. So interesting that Arteta's just like, okay, cool. If you want to go, then you're free to go.
It's the time now. Be ruthless. Tell people what it is, and if you're with it, you're here. If you're not with it, then au revoir. Ash says, I like Xhaka as a man. Leaves after his 2 best seasons and Arsenal in a good place. It's the right time to go. We need 2 quality CMs. You'll see how ruthless Mikel is.
Yeah, we just mentioned that. I mean, we mentioned that also on the Balogun live as well, which I mentioned is back on the channel as well. That I see a ruthless Mikel coming. I really do, and I said it by saying I think we'll see players leave this summer that not many people would expect. I feel like he's aware. He's fully aware of where he is. He's definitely going to be very annoyed that we didn't get the Premier League title this season. And he knows we need to improve. I think the club and the board, I think they'll back him more than, I mean, there's reports of 200 million spend available to Mikel Arteta, but I think they'll back him even more because of how good this season's been. Regardless of not winning the Premier League, I think you'll see, like I mentioned, a ruthless side to him by letting players go and bringing in what he needs. And regardless, I don't think there'll be any talk of, no, you can't have that.
Slightly off subject, but Gordon's asking, what do you think of the Arteta out people? Harsh? Yeah, it is harsh for me. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, but it's not really a debate that I'm willing to get into now because I just don't understand. I just don't understand it at the moment. Listen, we haven't won anything. Has this season been a success? No. I'll tend to agree with a lot of the factors why people are now, or some fans are saying Arteta out. But the fact of the matter is, I don't think there is a guaranteed change we can make that would see us do better than we did this season. There's more experienced managers for sure. There's better managers in terms of what they've done in their career and what they've won. But in terms of where we're at now with the squad we have that's been assembled by the man, I don't really see another manager coming in and taking this squad and doing better than what Mikel's done so far. So it's not, for me, it's not the time to entertain that. But like I said,
you articulate yourself so well.
Everyone's entitled to their
opinion. Bro, it actually pisses me off. It infuriates me that those sort of people. And everyone's entitled to their own opinion. We're all fans of the club. But how you articulate yourself then was incredible, because for me, just how much I've enjoyed this season. Of course, we haven't won the Premier League at the end of it, but I've enjoyed the season so much. I look at these players and feel so proud of them. The style of play, I love watching us play football. There's been moments in this season where I've actually been in awe of this Arsenal Football Club. Do you know how long it's been since I've had that? I enjoy going to every away game and spending time. Like, there's so much that has changed for me as an Arsenal fan, and to then people that say Arteta, I find it bewildering. But yeah, mad. It's definitely not the time to have this conversation at all.
Aaron says, big up Cecil and Turkish. It was tough to watch the Big Six last night, but we're here now. We got through it, my guy. With Xhaka leaving, this means 2 CMs is a must. Eyes are on Edu. 100% completely agree. And to be honest, Big Six wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. They was bringing up quotes from other people and trying to rip me about it, but that shit don't run. Rizwan says, Xhaka is experienced depth. We need an upgrade and a backup if we sell him. Unless El Nene is what we are relying on, which scares me, to be honest. I'd keep him. I get you. And like I said, Xhaka leaving would be more work. And by more work, I mean, as well as a starting 8, would need a backup 8. I don't care about these rumours about Smith Rowe training to be in that position and whatnot. We don't even know what his future holds at this moment in time. So there is more work to do if Xhaka does go.
I think we'll see Arsenal move. I know we're going to speak about David Ornstein in a second, but Arsenal move quite fast, quicker than usual in this window. I think the Rice thing has been spoken about many a times, and I think pre-agreements and personal terms were agreed quite a while ago. So I think we'll see us move fast, which will then give the fan base more confidence when it looks like we're going to move on players like Xhaka. And so just look out for that, I think, early on in the summer window.
Ashley, with his first ever super chat, because it pops up and lets us know. So big up, Ashley. Thank you for the super chat. How do you see Smith Rowe's future? Does he compete with the new number 8 for that position? I think he could adapt personally. And literally, it was just bang on subject as well.
Mad.
I'm not paying too much mind to that rumour that Emil Smith Rowe is being trained for the number 8 position. I think there's been opportunities, especially towards the end of this season, to see Emil Smith Rowe in that position. It's all good and well being trained in that position, but there's opportunities now. Man City are 1 win away from the Premier League title. Regardless of where that win comes, they're going to win it. It is over now. I've used this over 3 weeks ago. I said it's over after the Man City
Belgium thinks it's not over. Belgium thinks it can still.
You see, you're doing what them Big Six men are doing. They're quoting other men and coming to me about it. Don't come to me about what other men are saying. Come to me about what I'm saying. I can't talk for other men and their opinions.
Keep my name out your fucking mouth.
I can't talk for other men's opinions.
Just quickly, sorry, that's made me laugh. Ashley, just on that super chat, because Emil Smith Rowe is actually an interesting topic to discuss. I do want to quickly just say, before he was injured, he had fitness issues. He was very good, but he never seemed to really last out a full 90 minutes to the way he started. And when you've had a big injury like that, I know mentally, I think he's been struggling anyway, but having a big injury like that, it's going to make you regress. I actually think next season he has to be monitored and managed to be bled back in to get to the level that he once was. I think you see, like when Foden was being bled in by Pep, it took a bit of time to get him into the system, into the style of play. I think Emil Smith Rowe is going to need more time. And listen, he's our number 10, which is mad to think. He's a player that he's proven himself, but I think the injury has really knocked him back, and he's going to get minutes. He has to understand that there's going to be plenty of games to play, but it's going to take a bit of time to get him back to what we once saw of him when he was, they were saying he's the best dribbler of the ball at one point in the season. So yeah, but that's my thoughts on Emil Smith Rowe.
Yeah, and we'll see. I think, like I said, the next 3 games, ideal opportunity to at least give him a start in that position.
That's true.
Potentially.
So who do you want to see just quickly in the next couple of games? So Emil Smith Rowe, I would like to see Reece Nelson. Would you want to see a rotation, or are you still on the thing of take this serious?
Bro, shall I be honest with you? I don't care. we fucked up the title. We're second. We can't lose second.
So you're saying put the kids on? What are you saying though? What, put the kids in and play?
Points tally hype. You know, everyone was like, let's get to 90 points. Let's get to 80. It is what it is. We're second. Like whether we get to 87 or whether we land on 84, we're second. So I don't really give a shit too much about the maths there.
But you would like to see, you said it, Mill Smith Rowe, but you'd be, you don't care, but if you see him, you're not going to use him like, cool.
If we see Emil Smith Rowe start the 8, that'll give me some insight that, okay, he is being trained to potentially be a rotation option in the number 8 position.
Cool.
If we don't see him in the 8, then I'm going to say to myself, I'm going to think that that rumour isn't necessarily true, and his future might, be done come this summer. But we'll see. I mean, only time will tell.
But do remember, just sorry, I keep cutting in, but do remember last season? I think we're screaming for Balogun when it was done to feature. Maybe that last game against, I think it's Everton at home, and in Arteta, there was loads of players like, well, now it's done. Play some players that we've been wanting to see, and he didn't. So I don't expect Arteta to change anything. I think he's going to be not stubborn, but you know how he is. I want to stick to taking it serious, keeping everything the way I want it, and still try and go for that high point tally, even though I like you, I'm the same. Who gives an F now, really?
Yeah, that's how I see it. Ryan says, Turks and Cecil, I'm glad Xhaka is leaving. He's been a good player for us in these last 2 seasons, but overall we need upgrades. We need to fry that fish proper now. Bro,
see what you started?
Bro, we're talking about next season, bro. We're in Champions League. We've got a different plate to eat off of.
Bro, say bigger chicken to fry. Say something different. Bigger jerk.
I like fried chicken still.
Yeah, so let's check that.
Hit up Chick-fil-A when we're out in the US. People, IHOP, all of them, whatever it is.
We're coming to America. No Eddie Murphy, yeah? We're coming to America. It was Eddie Murphy. I'm sure I get it right. Eddie Murphy, well, not Eddie Murphy, us. We're coming to America. Me and Turkish been reminiscing throughout the day. It was a great time. Any of you American gooners out there, we look forward to seeing you in the pre-season tour.
Big up Ryan as well for that super chat. Milo says, would rather gain money from Xhaka or gain... What's this?
Why you? I don't know.
I don't know, but you're younger than me. It might be...
A word. Okay, Milo, I beg you just in the chat somewhere. What's egg?
But essentially he's saying he'd rather gain money from Xhaka than nothing. That's what I'm taking from it.
Then gain...
That's what I'm taking from it. And I get that. I'm with you. As long as we have enough depth in the 8 position come next season, then I don't care. Addy says he's been very good but very slow in the final third. I agree. And Ricky says don't mind Xhaka leaving, but does selling him for 13 million make sense? Rather keep him for squad depth and let him go for free next year. Again, Ricky, I get it. It seems like a low fee, but if he is not in agreement that his minutes will diminish somewhat next season, and he wants to move and he wants to remain first team regular week in, week out, then there's not much we can really do.
If we don't improve in that position, then Ricky, I fully get what you're saying, because I have PTSD of that January window where we didn't sign a striker, and I'm like, but we're going to sign a striker. Literally every day I was so chill. We'll be doing transfer daily, linked to all these people. I was like, yeah, we're going to sign a striker. And we never did in that January window, and I just think they're not going to do that again. But I just have confidence that Mikel Arteta is going to get the backing from the board. But who's to say? They just say nah. But it has to. It's no, Cecil. Come on, let's get out of this mindset. We're going to sign 2 midfielders.
They better do something. They better do something. That's all I'm saying. I'm onto them.
And you're in America.
I'm onto them, bro. And we're at their stadium. I'm onto them.
Imagine we get to the Arsenal versus Barcelona game, not signing a midfielder, yeah? And Turkish, I can just picture in SoFi Stadium, like, they're here. I've got to do something. They need to sign a midfielder. Lord. All right, go on. Next super chat.
You got me daydreaming now. Just imagine in the moment. But let me hope that we've got our signings in prior to that preseason tour. Jordan says, Turkish, do we give ESR a chance in that position? Just mentioned Jordan. Yes, I'd say now is the chance to see how well he's adapted, if he has been training in that position, or how well he might do. Aaron says, I'm with Turkish. I don't mind him leaving, and it's a good time for him to go. Rice replaces Xhaka, but we need another player in that position now. 100% Gundogan. Just get on the phone and let's see.
Is that really possible though?
Why not? He's already coming to the last 3 weks of his contract.
Yeah,
it's done. He's made his decision.
Can the club block it? Can they block that move?
Unless if they offer him I don't know what Gundogan wants though. To be honest, is it a move abroad and different surroundings?
He'd be class.
Is it more money? Is it more minutes? Not really sure, because we can't offer him more minutes. I think he plays quite a bit for Manchester City. Yes, he gets rotated a lot throughout the season.
But he's one of the main figureheads as well.
Yeah.
He's come on and done so well.
In terms of money, I don't know what he's on. I wouldn't think he's one of the highest earners at City, but I wouldn't want him to be one of the highest earners at Arsenal either.
I can check that anyway.
So it's probably an unlikely move. I don't think we can offer him anything that City can't at the moment. But it's one that
Gundogan's roughly on 140k a week.
And what's Xhaka on? 100? 120?
Yeah, 120.
Yeah, so it's not too far off, but yeah, we'll see what we do.
That'd be a nice move. Anyway,
we'll see what we do. Andrew says bye. Played a big part of Wenger being sacked, Emery leaving, got booed heavily when he started to walk off the pitch. Won't be missed. Definitely not good and skillful enough to play as a attacking mid for Arsenal. That leads me on, actually, Andrew. So a few good points you made. I mean, that's how I saw his time prior to this season. He definitely played a big part, in my opinion, of Wenger's downfall, because Wenger put a lot of faith in that signing and it just didn't work out. Emery leaving too, 100%. I'm with you. But how would you see his time at Arsenal if he was to move on? How would you judge it? In 5 years, you look back and you're asked about, what did you make of Xhaka at Arsenal?
He was a trusted servant by many managers. You mentioned it there. He's part of Wenger's time here. Emery trusted him. Every manager seemed to have him in their starting 11. Mikel Arteta backed him, wanted him to stay. His time overall, I mean, 2 years out of 7, if you look at it statistically, it's not a great return. But I actually have a lot of admiration and huge respect for a man to stay at a club where you feel like everyone's against you. And in my opinion, change the narrative. Of course, there'll be people out there, as people mentioned there, my man just mentioned there, Andrew, that you might not change their opinions. But if you were in a workplace, say you're here, and the majority of the people watching Turkish were hating you, and you stayed and stuck it out and said, you know what, no, I'm going to change their opinion.
Oh, but the thing is, this is where a lot of people, when if asked, what's your opinions on Turkish and AFTV? A lot of people would still say negative. A lot of people would still say he moans a lot. A lot of people would still say...
No, I think you've got a lot of...
People have changed, but it's the same way people have changed with Xhaka.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about generally, if asked, people are going to remember those moments more than anything else. So it is what it is.
It is what it is, but Xhaka's a very popular player, I think, in the Arsenal. So I think you're a very popular member here as well, AFTV. So yeah, there might be some opinions, but I got a lot of respect for the way he's changed around his narrative, his story. I mean, this season he's been very good. I've been very impressed. And yes, over the whole tenure, it's not flawless, of course not. But again, my respect is very high for the man, and I actually wish him the best going forward. And fair play to Granit Xhaka. There's not me. He's not got Thierry status. He hasn't got Bukayo Saka. He hasn't got massive status of an incredible player. But I respect what he's done in a turnaround.
Cool. Carlos says, we are gambling on the fact we can get Caicedo and Rice. We have lost leverage by Xhaka leaving. West Ham and Brighton will know Arsenal are desperate. I think desperate is too harsh a word to use, or maybe harsh ain't the word, but in terms of desperate, we haven't even entered the transfer window yet, and there are plenty of midfield options out there. Now, we've been linked heavily to Caicedo and Rice, so that's who we want. Obviously, I get that, but there's other midfielders I'd also take. So if they were to play hardball and they want 120 for Rice, or Brighton want 100 for Brighton, and I mean for Caicedo, and we can't accommodate for both because we still need other positions, then there are other options, and that's where Arsenal have to kind of lean on. In all honesty, I'm looking at 80 million for Caicedo, potentially 90 million for Rice being the figures that will get a deal done. But I don't know anymore with this football world. Who knows how much someone's going to go for.
I think desperate's a harsh word, in the sense that I know that they've been working on this Rice deal for a while. I do. I'm no ITK. Please allow me. I don't want that title ever, because we saw what happened with Grizz and many other people about Jude Bellingham, and things can change last minute in football. But I feel like this is a deal that, and I know deals take a long time. I think it's been worked on for a while, so I don't feel like we'll be moving desperate. I think West Ham would be aware that we wanted Rice. I believe there have been negotiations back from January, and And when it comes to Caicedo, I think that would be a bit more of a harder bargain. One, because of the performance he had at the Emirates. Two, because how much we pushed for him in the January window. But I also think Arsenal can be smart and say, well, look, we've got Rice coming. If you're not going to give us Caicedo, we'll look for someone else. I don't think it's going to be crazy figures. I feel like this is something that's their main targets. If they don't get them, they move on to someone else. We've seen them do that in the past windows, not get their main targets and it kind of work out. Some fans must say, well, we know we have to start bringing in our number one targets. But for me, I feel like they'll have it planned out very, very well. And I don't think it won't look desperate. I don't think it will be desperate. I think they'll get some of these signings over the line earlier in this window than expected.
Hopefully, you need to be proactive again. Super chat in with Xhaka leaving. Would you take Rice or Caicedo plus an upcoming 8-6, circa 30 million? Or do you need two top midfielders? I'd take exactly what you just said there. Rice, Caicedo. Actually, no, you said Rice or Caicedo. I'm looking at Rice, Caicedo and an upcoming 8-6, if anything. If we were to lose Xhaka in the next transfer window. And he also adds, PS, I don't know how AFTV bagged the breakout stars from the new Little Mermaid movie. Got to speak to the Don about that one.
No, big on Little Mermaid. On your theatres, 26th of May. Make sure you check it out. You can see man's Bolton there. And check out the credits. You see my name live and direct.
What? Yeah, is your face actually in the movie?
Yeah, bro.
What? Are you one of the mermaids or what?
No. My boys and there's some model girls that are, they are the mer.
So what are you doing in it?
Well, I was booked. I was booked as a dancer, but I actually ended up being a featured extra. I'm in a scene where Ursula, she turns into an octopus. I know this sounds mad, but I'm with, like, you see me there in like the group as they're having their wedding.
So you with the bad guys?
Yeah, I'm with the bad girls still, I can't lie. But then you can't see me, but on the final scene when the boat goes back out, you see me on the beach. But you have to really be looking for me. I look completely different as well. So when people go and watch it and try and look, man has no facial hair. I've got a side part in. I'm in Victoria. I look like a mad. I'm gonna show you some photos after. But yeah, but no, big up.
If you needed a reason to watch Little Mermaid, there it is, people. Catch Cecil. Tag us. Chris says Xhaka's been a good servant for Arsenal. It's time he left. And Karthik says, do we think Tielemans on a free is a good replacement?
Not me. I'm coming out of it. I jumped way too much on the bandwagon, and I never really rated Tielemans. I was just going with the whole Arsenal hype. He's being linked, getting close, and what we all do. But nah, I don't want Tielemans personally.
If we get Rice and Caicedo, I wouldn't mind Tielemans coming in on top. But if we get Rice or Caicedo and Tielemans, then it's like a bit underwhelming for sure. But if it's Rice, Caicedo, and you get Tielemans on a free, then fair enough. What's Tielemans, 26, 27? Heading into what would be his prime after a couple, in my opinion, poor seasons, probably his poorest at Leicester. I think it's worth a shot if, we're looking to spend the remainder of our transfer budget on a striker or a right winger and a right back or a centre back, which are all key in my opinion. Dave yesterday put in a super chat saying he'd have 10 players out. And he's here with another super chat saying that's one of the 10. I said yesterday, Turkish, it's a good decision.
10 players.
Xhaka. Yeah.
And you know what? I did a space this morning. Big up everyone that joined me on a space if you're literally listening or watching. And one guy, first guy said 50% of the squad needs to go. And I said who? And then he only gave me like 5 names. But 10 is a lot.
It sounded like a lot. That's why I asked him who. But
did you ask him who as well?
Yeah, but I didn't see his follow-up if he did follow up. But Xhaka being one of the 10, you know what, I don't mind. Young Gunner says, heard the rumour that we could go for Rice and Caicedo. Correct. That's what we're told. I'll believe it when I see it, but it would mean we need depth. Thoughts on Milinkovic-Savic? That was my guy last summer. That was the one when I was adamant Xhaka needed to leave. That was the player that I wanted to come in to slot into that 8 position, someone that knows the position a lot better than Xhaka, and in my opinion someone that could still add something to the team. I'd definitely take Milinkovic-Savic.
Yeah, you're a big fan of ours. Calling you Turkish Milinkovic-Savic last year, boy. You stop saying his name, boy.
I remember. Rizwan says, think Arsenal have any chance to sign Osimhen? Rizwan, if we go by what we know of these owners and what we know of the way Arsenal conduct business in the transfer window, the answer would be no. If we go by what I want to see this club move like, if we go by what we should be moving like, then, and if we go by who we're competing with, Manchester City, then we should have a chance to sign Osimhen.
I'd love Osimhen,
A lot of people would.
Imagine.
A lot of people would.
That would be crazy. That would.
And then you have Jesus can back up Saka as well. I'm not saying use Jesus solely as a backup, but then you have them more depth in all three forward positions. It's either not Milinkovic-Savic. It's either Trossard or Martinelli on the left, Jesus or Osimhen up top, or Saka and Jesus on the right. So
that would be honestly. You see, that would really, really shocked me in such a good way if Arsenal had done that. I know, listen, it's nothing that's been linked. It's something that we're kind of dreaming and hoping for. But imagine that. Son would be incredible. That'd be such a good sign. And boy, the welcome video would be lit. I would be dancing all over the blood clot.
Of course you would. Sorry. Flip Mode says, come to Soulflow when in the US. Soulflow? Is that South Florida? When in the US? My guy, I wish, but the way the preseason schedule set up this season is Washington one day, it's New York / New Jersey another day, and then it's LA another day, all within a 10-day, 9-day period. So we're going to be all over the gaff, but unfortunately South Florida will not be one of those destinations. But I can't wait to go LA in particular. I'm in New York next month with Big Six as well, and I'll be in New York the following month with AFTV. Steven says, of course my opinion has changed on Granit. He was at rock bottom. He peaked this season and did the job, but now it's time to upgrade. That's the last super chat I have here, and that's probably the best way to round it up. He was rock bottom. He's peaked this season. He did a job, but now it's time to upgrade. Perfect. That's how that draws a line on the discussion for me.
Perfect.
But I mentioned earlier, David Ornstein did have some things to say to Sky Sports yesterday, and I'm wary that we're coming up close to the hour. So make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you place your votes as well, because I'm gonna end that poll after this segment here. But I think it's very relevant to the conversation we're having. And David Ornstein told Sky Sports that, quote, Arsenal might need to strike whilst the iron is hot and pounce on some of these players while they have shown the world they are competitive again. Arsenal will have added impetus with the extra revenue from Champions League football. Their ambitions will be high as they're playing at a higher level of competition, and their expectations have changed. The interest in Rice is well documented, but they will have competition for his signing. Arsenal looked into a deal in January, similarly with Caicedo, but they went further with that. They tried to sign him. I'm not sure they're going to be able to do both financially, but clearly the interest is there. I don't want to hear I'm not sure's. He goes on to say, I think they want a creative midfielder if possible as well. That's why the likes of Mason Mount have come on their radar, but so too are other clubs such as Liverpool and Manchester United. And yes, Mount has been linked, so it's potentially Rice, Caicedo, Mount. But I don't know how much money we do have. That would be a heavy outlay.
Mad.
And then he ends it with, then at the back, they're going to have to look to do something, because their defensive record at home in particular has been the worst it's been since, I think, about 1984. That means there's a need for reinforcements, maybe at centre-half, maybe at right-back too. Let's see what happens with Kieran Tierney. Will he depart at left-back? What they could raise through departures, Gary Jacobs at the time says there could be 100 million coming in. Clearly, Arsenal have an opportunity to trade, and a lot of eyes will be on the technical sporting director Edu on what he is able to do, your guy. He's built quite a good reputation, but now I think Arsenal are really going to be tested. There's bigger expectation on them now, and I think it's going to be a huge summer at the Emirates Stadium. They look like they're trying to move quickly to get stuff done sooner rather than later. So quite a big quote there, quite a lot to debunk, but in terms of the midfield situation, he added the creative midfielder, and I see an 8 as a mix of a creative midfielder and a box-to-box midfielder that can win challenges. He's up for a bit of a fight. Mason Mount, we've heard a lot about him.
I wouldn't mind him. I've been a fan of Mason Mount.
Probably not the one I'd turn to, but listen,
if it's a backup, because if you miss out on Caicedo and Rice, would you be if you get one of them and he comes in as well?
No, I'm not having that. I'm not taking Mount for one of Rice or Caicedo.
Wow.
I'm not taking Mount for one of Rice. Right,
you really don't rate Mount like that?
No, Mount's good. Mount's good. He's good, but I'm stuck on Rice, Caicedo now.
You want that?
Yeah, and Mount doesn't offer what Rice and Caicedo offer.
Yeah, they're different. They're different.
Attacking third, Mount offers more.
Not a lot more, yeah. But Caicedo, but you don't. Okay, yeah, you want more of a.
Yeah, we need some more.
It's weird he said about they're looking for another 10. I suppose Martin Odegaard's been so good this season, but I suppose you need more competition in that position as well. And I just think that's an interesting. I didn't. That's the first time I'm hearing that as well. I know I was on Sky Sports yesterday, but I didn't know you actually get to listen to it. It'd be very interesting. Looking for another number 10. I mean, Emil Smith-Rowe can play that. Might be getting trained to play the 8. I think he'll do well in the 10. But if you're looking to upgrade, Mouse and Rice and Caicedo aren't 10s. So it's interesting. If you get all three, it's not going to happen. But that is mad. Building an English middle, it seems like there. Obviously, we'll keep Martin Odegaard. But if you're going for a Rice, a Mount, you know what I mean? That's two English midfielders. Keep Martin Odegaard in there. It's very interesting. But good players, high-profile players there in that position.
Yeah, it's an area that we must see 2 players at the bare minimum. Must. If Xhaka goes, then it needs to be 3, if I'm honest.
Is it to replace, are you looking to replace Partey or use him as a squad rotation player?
Partey needs competition, and judging by the end of every season he's had at the club so far, the last 2 injury-ridden, and this most recent one, yes, there seems to be signs of injury, but his performance level has dropped. I think it's an area we need to add something in.
Okay.
It's an area we need to add something in. That's all the super chats I have here. That's all the subject matters I have there. He mentioned defense too, and defense is definitely an area we need to improve on, whether it be a right back to allow Tomiyasu to be Saliba's backup, or whether it be a centre back to back up Saliba. One or the other for sure is necessary, and obviously with Kieran Tierney, his situation not really sorted, to say the least.
And a striker as well, Turkish.
Yeah, but 5. You asked me the other day how many players. I said 5 players.
He did say 5.
I said 5, and that's without entertaining any of the first 11 going. That was 5 in.
Wow. But you want to see some of the first 11 leave, no? Or you're not keeping, because we were talking about Xhaka leaving today. Like,
yeah, I don't care. But if you asked me, what would you do? I said bench.
True.
So if he wants to leave, I don't care. Cool. Let's just do what we need to do. But 5, I think 5 signings are necessary. 2 midfielders, 1 striker, or 1 striker, right winger, right back, centre back, one or the other.
Wow. And to you, is that realistic with what you've heard so far coming out from the Arsenal media outlets? As in, money, it's going to be money to be spent this season.
You see, as much as we've quoted Ornstein here, we've quoted Romano here, we've quoted Wheatley here.
Yeah.
You know, I don't really give a shit about them either. Like,
I know that.
Within the nose and journalists and all this, they're fed what they're fed and they release what they release. But the fact of the matter is, there's enough evidence over the years to say none of them really know what's going on at the club. So, you know, I'll take it with a pinch of salt. Even though this news, I'd love it to be true, and hopefully it is true. Last super chat here from Ricky saying 50 million release clause for a defender like Kim Min Jae, an upgrade or competition on Saliba and Gabriel to improve our spine, or Gvardiol. Thoughts? I like Gvardiol a lot. And with Kim as well, I mean, he's got the release clause, probably an easier deal to get done, but then again, he's probably happy where he is as well. So it's hard. I mean, but I'd take both players. But obviously, Kim just won the league over in Serie A as well. So
you have to see my. I was just going to go back to the number of signings. I think 4. We need 4, and you're saying 5. I think 2 midfielders, a striker, and cover for William Saliba. I'd say 4. If we get 5, that is a bonus. Haven't seen enough of the players mentioned there. But
we've got 2.7k here, only 400 likes. So hit the like button, people, because we're going to slowly but surely wrap it up. Before we wrap it up, we've got a bit of the Little Mermaid costume design.
See, here's the thing, I saw my man standing in the back. I was thinking, what is going on? Why is my man here?
Is this what you wore in the...
Fam, what is this, blood?
Is this what you wore in the Little Mermaid?
What is this?
So when you're watching... when you're watching Little Mermaid, people, look out for this outfit.
Where did they even get this from? You see production,
Look at this. Look for this outfit. It's a nice sparkly number. Looks the rose pink.
Do you know what?
Cream, maybe.
For the bants.
This is what I'm not here for. Why is he always next to me? He does things like this. Christmas is an Arsenal t-shirt.
Where did they get this?
Nah, he's a mermaid next to me. Look at what's going on. Look at what's going on around me. Hey.
I love this place, you know. Big up production. I don't know where you got this. I'm not in this, but you know what? I'm in it right now. It's kind of snug.
And you told me not to mention bigger fish to fry. You're moving like a fish right now, my guy.
Blood, this is the biggest fish you can fry in the blood clot. Look at What is this though? Wait, you don't want to try on, team?
Bro. Bro, man, don't do this acting stuff. You already know.
Hold tight production, yeah. Catching Little Mermaid, man's doing bigger things, but big up Arsenal every time. Anyway.
Come on, hit the like button, people. Love for the love as always. Make sure you subscribe, put the notification bell on, subscribe to our channels too. Both channels are in the title, both mine and Cecil's. Cecil is not consistent on his channel yet, but
we'll get there.
You probably see why. Look at him. Look at him.
Love people, yeah. Have a good day.
Love for the love, people. Like I said, hit the like button, subscribe, do all of that good stuff, and we'll see you again real soon. Peace.
Don't forget, the Invincible podcast is coming to you live.
It's going to be taking place at the Islington Assembly Hall on Tuesday, the 23rd of May. Tickets are available right now. Click the link and get involved now.
Come and join us.
Shop for AFTV merch at shop.aftv.co.uk. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat, and Twitch. We've got content for every platform, so check it out.